I think storytelling is a very important skill to have if you are studying communication and eventually going to that field, because telling a story is a big part of what we do, no matter what your job is.
Jace Lobner was a communications major here at HLGU. Jace originally intended to go into sports journalism, but during his time on the HLGU Newsbeat team, he decided to pursue sports-related media. Jace graduated HLGU in 2024 and spent 1 year pursuing a master's degree at William Woods University in Fulton, Missouri. Jace is currently employed at William Woods, where he uses his knowledge of communication on a daily basis. Now, sit back and enjoy as we hear from alumni Jace Lobner. I'm your host, Nick Sowers, and this is Campus Conversations. Hi, so we're here with Jace Lobner today. Jace, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing, Nick?
Pretty good, man. Can I just ask you, what originally made you want to be a communications major?
Yeah, so it's kind of a combination of my passions. I've loved sports since I was way young. I played them all my life. And I've always had a passion for writing, storytelling more specifically, I guess is how you would put it. And so when I was in high school, I wanted to find a way to do both. And originally my mind was on sports journalism. And so that's kind of what took me to eventually study communications in college.
Gotcha. So you were looking to do like sports media, that kind of stuff?
I was, yeah. And so I did my internship at a news station. I worked with the sports director there as a sports reporter for a little while. I discovered that specific avenue wasn't necessarily for me. Still wanted to work in athletics and use the knowledge that I gained from my communication background in that manner, but just not necessarily as a sports journalist.
Gotcha. Okay, so that was a pretty clear picture from the beginning. Kind of sounds like. Can you go ahead and tell me why you wanted to come to HLGU and to study that communications degree?
Yeah, my path to HLG was not traditional. Out of high school, I spent 2 years at a school called Lincoln Christian University. It was in Lincoln, Illinois, and it closed down after my sophomore year. And that left me in a very difficult place, having to transfer kind of out of the blue because I had no intentions of leaving Lincoln. And I had barely even gotten into the communication program there at that point, so I was still, wherever I was going to go, this is where I was going to get all of the knowledge and the experience in the field that I want. And so I was doing some looking around, and Hannibal-LaGrange is about 2.5 hours south of Lincoln. It's pretty close, and I knew some guys from Lincoln that were there, and so I did some research into the media communication program, and I just saw how hands-on the program is. You know, you don't just sit around in class being told things. You do, and that experience is essential for when you eventually go out into the workforce and look for your job. And just that whole idea of the hands-on experience and the all-encompassing education that's provided at Hannibal, that really drew me in, and I was hooked.
Oh yeah, I bet that hands-on experience has got to be a pretty important part if you're wanting to take it to where you're going with it. What was the most memorable aspect of the communications program here on campus? I'm talking specifically about HLG, but if you wanted to answer about Lincoln, like if something stood out there too, you can go ahead and answer that as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many to choose from. Like I said, at Hannibal, you get such a well-rounded education, and you get to dip your hand in a little bit of everything. The campus news show, Newsbeat, stands out immediately. I mean, that was such a fun thing to do when you're an undergrad. You get to go around the community. You get to meet some really cool people doing some really cool things. You get to practice your interviewing skills, your video skills, editing skills, and then you get that experience either on the camera, as an anchor, or as a reporter doing some voiceovers and stuff like that. I think it was really cool to be able to tell the people stories of Hannibal while also getting, that experience, getting that college credit for it. I really think that Newsbeat is a great thing that Hannibal has going for it.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, Newsbeat's been a pretty good time for me too. So that's been awesome. So shifting gears just a little bit, I want to talk about after you graduated, what did that track look like to getting you career ready? I know you were in a graduate program for a little while. Can you just go ahead and tell me about like that journey from when you were getting ready to graduate from being a student to going into the working world?
Yeah, so like I said, I did my internship at a news station, so that was between my junior and senior years at Hannibal, and that's kind of when I realized that I didn't want to be a journalist, that I didn't want to work at a news station or anything. And so another thing that I did at Hannibal was I was working with the sports information director. His name was Jason Farr at the time. I was helping him out just with a bunch of game days. I would call basketball games. I'd work with him for all the other events. And I was starting to gather what sports information was as a field and kind of gain some interest on it there. And so I was looking around. My fiance, Allison, who also went to Hannibal, is from Fulton, Missouri originally. And so there's a university here called William Woods University. And I was looking into them, and they had a spot open for a sports information graduate assistant. And so I applied. Everything went pretty smooth, and I got the position. So I came over here last year right after I graduated from Hannibal. But for me specifically, knowing that I wanted to get into athletics, a graduate assistant position is very important because it, one, allows you to get higher education than you would have had before, and a lot of employers are going to prefer a master's degree over a bachelor's degree. But then it also lets you get experience doing the job. Like, I was still working in the sports information department in this athletic department, so I got the actual experience to be able to put on my resume as well, and that allowed me to eventually get to where I am.
Gotcha. So just segueing a little bit, what does it mean where you are? Like, what does your current career look like? What kind of things are you responsible for doing? What's your job look like on a daily basis?
Yeah, so I was lucky enough to be able to come on full-time at William Woods as the sports information coordinator. And so working in athletics is very non-traditional. Hours are not a straight 9 to 5 or anything. So on days that we have games, we are responsible, me and my department are responsible for basically producing the whole game day. So we set up everything so I'll give you basketball as an example. So we set up the scores table, we make sure the broadcast is working, the live stream, we set up the scoreboard, we set up the public address, and then we also take the stats for the games. And so after we take the stats, then we're also responsible for putting them on the website, sending them off to the school that we played. So that's what a game day looks like. But then we also have the part of the job in the office, and that's doing a lot of the website management. We write a lot of stories, interview our athletes and coaches, social media work. We're actually looking to put out some more creative media. So it's kind of stuff like that.
Yeah, it sounds like they're keeping you pretty busy over there.
Oh, for sure.
So during your time on campus, what are some practical skills that you gathered that help you to be more successful at that job that you're doing right now?
Oh, there's a lot. The first one I'd say is storytelling. So as I mentioned earlier with Newsbeat, you learn how to write for television, which is what Newsbeat is, but you also, throughout the program, will learn how to write for print. You'll learn how to tell a story through various methods, through video as well. And so that carries over here because we write game recaps, we write student spotlights, and then we also try to do some fun stuff with video, telling stories about our team season, stuff like that. So I think storytelling is a very important skill to have if you are studying communication and eventually going into that field, because telling a story is a big part of what we do, no matter what your job is. But other than that, a lot of the editing skills that we had, we were always editing, audio for podcasts. We were editing video for our stories, our packages for Newsbeat, creating content and content calendars, also very practical. We had a class where we had to get a real world organization from the Hannibal community, and we set up a website for them, we set up a content calendar for them, and that is also very applicable to what I'm doing today as well, with posting a lot of social media graphics and managing the athletic website.
Oh yeah, I bet. So on the flip side of that, what are maybe some things that you encountered in the real working world that you felt like were kind of a surprise coming out of college, like maybe you weren't entirely prepared for, and then how you overcame that unexpected challenge or whatever it may be?
Yeah, I would say the hours were one of the hardest things to get used to with this job. It's hard to balance how much you're going to work in a week because, you're still supposed to work your 40 hours, but you have two basketball games one night that start at 5:30 and 7:30, and then on the weekend you have a baseball doubleheader. So how are you supposed to balance your 40 hours from Monday through Saturday? Maybe on Monday, if you don't have so much going on, you come in a little later or you leave a little earlier. But it's the hours balancing, and then along with that, it's balancing your work life, your work in your life, because I'm really big on valuing my time outside of my job. And when I have to spend some nights here, I have to try and figure out how my schedule is going to look. It can kind of mess up what I want to do outside of it, and so it really took an adjustment to try and balance all of that.
Gotcha. So your job is definitely not a 9 to 5 type of thing.
Most definitely not.
Sounds good, but you're enjoying it though, yeah?
Oh, I love it. It's awesome.
That's great. So just one final question for you today as we wrap up. What is the biggest piece of advice that you would give a communications student who's about to graduate and about to enter their career or a graduate program? What would be that most important thing you would say to that person?
I've got a 2-part thing.
Okay, great.
I would say that experience and confidence are king. Experience is king people have said that. You might have heard that before. You need, why I like Hannibal's program so much is the hands-on experience that we were talking about. You will be able to build your portfolio of all the works that you did over your years, and you will be able to show that to your future employers. Confidence comes in how you portray your experience, how you portray everything that you did. So if you get an opportunity to sit down with an employer and they're asking you, you need to have the confidence, and you need to have the knowledge to say, when I was in college, I was working for the campus news show, and knowing how to storytell will help me with doing ABC for this job. So I think it's a 2-part thing that you really need to pile up your experience and take that seriously as you go through. Don't wait until the end of your college career. You need to start piling that experience on. And then once you have the experience, be confident about it. Go out there and show them what you're made of.
Awesome. That sounds like really good advice. I really appreciate you coming on today. I think that'll be all the time, unless you have anything else to add.
I think that's it. I appreciate you.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on, Jace.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Special thanks to Jace Lobner for being today's guest. Jace went from being a communications major at Lincoln Christian College to an employee at William Woods University, constantly using his years of experience and education in the communication field. Until next time, I'm Nick Sowers, and this has been Campus Conversations.